Hola, cage fighting connoisseurs. This is KidNativeBloodyElbow.com, joined once again by the ineffable, the inevitable, the ineluctable Eugene S. Robinson, author of Fight, everything you ever wanted to know about getting your ass kicked, but were afraid you get your ass kicked
You
for
got
asking.
it wrong again.
Is it? What is wrong? What is right? It's all
Everything
relativity.
everything you want. Now you got me screwed.
See,
Everything you ever wanted to know
ever wanted to know
about ass kicking.
And what did I say?
Everything you gotta want to sort of kind of, I don't know.
I see.
The matter of which you've screwed it up baffles even me.
It's a lot of confusion. But we are here for a special mid-year MMA Tete-A-Tete. We're going to look back at 2015.
It's a Tete offensive.
It is going to be offensive. I guarantee it. Or your money back. If you're not offended, your money back. Yeah. But we're going to look back at the UFC. Started the year off with a bang with John Jones versus Daniel Cormier. Ronda Rousey having a big fight. Conor McGregor's big show in Boston. Since then, they've stumbled a little bit. We've also got the Reebok uniforms unveiled yesterday. Have you ordered your...
I'm hearing that Giblert is really happy about it.
I bet really. Giblert Melendez is really excited to have his name on a T-shirt like that. Like, it's been overshadowed by Gilbert all these years, and now Giblert finally has his chance.
Giblert is rising to the top, man.
I know. I spent $95 ordering a Royston Wee T-shirt and, you know, just all kinds of stuff. Damian Baptista, who I believe is related to Damian Maia.
Hey, if anybody calls him anything but Giblert from now on, they are foolish.
Exactly.
I'm going to go up to El Nino for a couple of days just to be able to call him Giblert.
And you got to be wearing your tee because you'll get, you know, 20% of it or something.
No, this is actually like stamps, man. If you get your hands on something like that, major corporate misspelling. You know, the funny thing is,
could be like the upside down airplane postage stamp.
Right. I mean, I should. You know, I should be more understanding. In like Rolling Stone has set a downward standard where they forgave this woman who like used a single source for the rape story. But in actual fact, in other times, in other places, other climes, you know, they fuck somebody over something like this, you know?
Over the misspelled T-shirt?
Yeah, all right, for sure. And you know, my favorite.
How about Josh Koscheck's T-shirt? They don't even have the apparel rights to Mr. Koscheck.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was amazing. I mean, it doesn't imbue with a great sense of confidence. But my favorite accountability story was there was some hit movie, I think, like at Paramount, or no, at Universal, and the guys from Paramount were like, "Man, shit, it's too bad we don't have that. Thing's going to be a tent pole, you know." And then one of the upper level executives go, where did it come from? And they checked the provenance, and they were like, hey, you know, we actually owned it. We owned it. How long do who let the option lapse? And they go through the paperwork, and they find out who it is, and he calls this guy in. He said, what happened with whatever the major hit movie was?
Was this Barry Diller, the Paramount head?
Yeah, it was something like that. And he's like, what happened to that? And the guy goes, well, I just didn't see that it had any upside potential. He goes, great, you're fired. That was it, man. Pack it. You know what? And people are like, well, workers' rights. Fuck that. These are really super great. I knew a guy who worked at Paramount, used to show up to work at 11, answer email for an hour, hit yoga and lunch, come back to the office around 2:30, spend another half hour, and knock off for the rest of the day.
Good work if you can get it.
Man, you know, you don't make any mistakes. Simple.
Yeah. You know, I had a better angle on this. I used to, in my corporate days, I would show up at 6:45 in the morning. I figured out when the first person came, and I would come about 15 minutes before them, just time to be in my desk, have my coffee, and working.
Sending emails.
Yeah, sending emails when the first guy shows up. Then I would leave between 9:30 and 10. Sometimes I'd leave for a breakfast meeting and then not come back until after lunch. Sometimes even longer. And then
that kind of explains why you're working at Bloody Elbow now.
Well, that too. But then I would show up at 3:30 and stay till like 7:30 or 8. And of course, I'd show up if there were meetings during the day I had to be at. I would be there. But like just for my office attendance, my policy was to be the first one there and the last one there. And they didn't know the rest of the day. I could have been out at meetings with clients, you know, running about, traveling. Nobody knew, but they saw me there in the morning. They saw me there in the afternoon, you know.
Where were you in actual fact?
Like during the day?
Yeah.
I'd go to a variety of strip clubs, all kinds of places. I discovered midday drinking. I mean, you know, it was just it's off the chain.
There you go. you know what? You know, there's an expression, and it goes, hung for a lamb as well as a sheep. That's informed a lot of my approach to reality.
Hung for a lamb as well as a sheep.
You're gonna get in as much trouble for one as you will for 100.
I see. Now it makes sense. Now it's beginning to come clear. But we haven't even outlined the other topics we're going to touch on. We've got the drug testing policy. They've announced a new ambitious partnership with WADA and some draconian penalties, including for marijuana. They've banned TRT. That was last year, but the echoes of that are continuing to be felt. They've sputtered on the international expansion, and we've got Bellator in the competition. You got to know Bellator is back in the game with the Kimbo Ken Slice fight being the highest rated Bellator fight of all time. One of the highest MMA fights, most seen MMA fights in history, 2.1 million viewers. Builds on the Tito Ortiz versus Stephan Bonner fiasco last year. Now they've signed Josh Koscheck. It's like clear that Bellator can get ratings and make money just by recycling old UFC cast-offs. And
let me tell you a little story.
Go ahead.
Let me tell you a little story. There's this guy in a local gym, San Francisco, and he's super interested in this girl. He starts, she trains there too, and bit by bit, he's letting people know. It's like, oh, Sally. She's like, hey man, I have to class the other day. We got some frozen yogurt. I think I should make my move. He's like, super invested. I gotta. And then finally, one of the guys on the team couldn't take it and said, hey, she actually used to go out with, and he names this completely reprobate individual who pretty much, it's like laying down with dog, getting up with VD,
Well, that happens.
And he goes, what? He goes, yeah. She used to go out with so-and-so. And the guy, it was like that scene in East of Eden where James Dean takes his brother to the whorehouse. The guy was never the same. Not only could he not speak to this woman anymore, he became like a haunted ghost of a man. That's kind of where MMA is right now, when it realizes that you can truck out a fucked up Ken Shamrock and a fucked up Kimbo Slice, and it be the most substantial, significant fight in the history of MMA. How does that taste?
Bellator, not of MMA.
I'm sorry, of Bellator. Whatever. How does that taste?
It tastes a little old and stale. It's like when you find something moldy in the fridge and you kind of scrape that top layer off, and then
or you find out that the beautiful Princess Queen that you've been romancing for months used to go out with
slowly, patiently.
Yeah, with the worst reprobate in the gym.
Maybe she was trying to turn things around for him, save him, lift him up. Maybe they just had sincere talks about philosophy and poetry and things like that, and then he went off scalawagged around with the bad girls.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's probably what happened. So
I used to date this woman who had told me that earlier, before we dated, that she had actually been a prostitute, and then I was so cool about it. She was like, wow, Eugene's so cool about it. I could tell my other boyfriends the same thing. And so she told the boyfriend after me, I'm a virgin. And the guy was like super excited. She goes, he was so excited that she couldn't let him keep thinking this way. So the first night they were together, she said, actually, I'm not really a virgin. And he was like, yeah, I got it. She goes, no, I mean, really not a virgin. And he goes, no, I got it. And she goes, actually, I used to work as a prostitute all the way through college, the
classic pay your way through college with sex work story, huh?
No, her family had money.
I just did it for kicks.
She said she did it to learn about men because she went to an all-girls school. So you take she went to all-girls high school. That is really the
best possible view insight on men, don't you think? I mean, that's really like not giving us a fair shake.
Well, she said that, and I said, did you? She goes, well, I learned a lot about a certain type of man.
Yeah. Self-selected pool of creepy scumbags.
Yeah, right. Well, she just said, it's like any other job. Some days are very bad days, and some days are actually good days.
Yeah, I used to flip burgers, and some days you'd get that grill just spotless, just shined, and everything was great. My favorite thing was making the guy from the bar next door wait for his burger because he was such an asshole. I put it up there with his name on it and not call his name, and he would just get livid. And I don't know why I was in such a hurry, because with the shit we did to his burger in the back.
He shouldn't have been so eager to fucking want
I know,
to
we were pouring jalapeno oil all over the buns. Like, I don't know.
He should have known. He should have seen that coming.
Yeah, what are you going to do? He went on to be the drummer in the Cherubs. You remember the Cherubs? The Austin, a great band. I mean, the guy was just a complete ass. Actually, that's not fair. But anyway, it is what it is. So, I've
gotten into lots of trouble with guys from Austin for,
taking their underwear off and
no, that guy in Amplified Heat and things, and who was stabbed a few years ago, not by me though, and he things got heated online. I finally had to say to him, "Hey man, we've been a touring band since the late '80s. We're not going to stop. We'll be in Austin again. Somebody's going to get hurt over this shit, and it's not. And I'm not talking about feelings. You you can keep it up. Or we can just say, yes, I punched you in the face. It happened, and just move beyond it." And he finally said, "Are you serious?" I go, "Yeah, I'm serious. Let's just get beyond it. I'm cool with it." He goes, "Yeah, yep." So fine, we blasted beyond it. So then I go to play South.
So did you punch him in the face, or this was a theoretical?
Yes, I punched him in the face.
I see.
Yeah,
and then
he attacked me.
And you punched him in the face.
Yeah.
And then he continued to talk shit about it online.
Yeah, it was like going crazy, and then so. He said, "Yeah, okay, let's squash it." I said, "We don't need any punk rock coastal thing." And
Austin's tri-coastal, Austin, Texas.
Yeah, right.
Tried to market itself as the third coast.
That's right. So, so I'm standing there in the middle of the sidewalk with a bottle of wine in my hand down River Street, and I see him and two other guys walking. Big one guy from that band, Ditch Witch, and the guys from Amplified Heat. And I just stand there.
You'd already had some guff with them.
Yeah, he had two cats with him, with big guys, and I just stand there. I had the bottle. I'm like, ooh, and I hold it down, and I'm looking at them, and they come up, like three of them. They come up to me, and they just walk right by me, like so much so that I doubted the actual my.
This was after you had the fisticuffs with him.
After the fisticuffs, and after I said, "Look, we should get sane about this," because. If you think I'm going to come through Austin and you guys are going to jump me and it's just going to be okay, nah, it's not what's going to happen. It's going to be really bad, and somebody's going to end up in the hospital. And
so he ignored you after that.
He completely and totally ignored me.
Better part of valor, discretion.
Yeah, he just said, "All right, let's move ahead." We haven't talked shit about each other since then. So.
Well, until this show.
No, I'm not talking shit about him now. Now I'm just.
I mean, you're about to. I'm about to pull it out of you.
No, not at all. I mean, I liked it. I like the, he was fucking with me during an acoustic show, and I just said, "Hey man, how about you shutting your fucking mouth?" And the guy said, he starts jawing back at me, and I said, "Okay, look, do you think you could kick my ass?" And he says, "No." And I go, "Good." And I start going back to finish the fucking song. And right as I get to the microphone, he goes, "But I'm not afraid of you."
Pretty good one, I got to say.
It was good, man. His timing was impeccable. So.
And then you hit him.
No, I went down. Then I went back into the audience, and I said, "Is it your desire to fight me? Because if you want it," and I put my nose very close to his face, and that's when he struck me.
I see. And then you hit him back.
And I had to defend myself.
And then that was the end of that.
Then he jumped on me, threw his legs around me, which was like a gift to a grappler. And then I got him an ultimate head and arm and cinched up his left arm between my legs like in a crucifix. And then he looks up at me as I go for a fucking Americana on his right arm. He looks up at me and goes, okay, I'll let you up now.
I like the cut of his jib. This guy must be.
That's what I'm saying. The guy's great, man. Without missing a beat, "I'll let you up now." And somebody videotaped it, and you could actually see me kind of laugh, go, "Okay, you let me up now, buddy."
Well, that's classic. That's better than the adventures Greg Dully of the Afghan Wigs has had in Austin. Have you followed any of these?
No, what happened?
Oh, well, he ended up hospitalized, and he's just a bleeding asshole. The first time he came to town, I was actually at the show. There were only like 12 people there, and 6 of them were me and my redneck buddies from Amarillo. And
solo show with the Wigs?
This was with the Wigs. It was on their first tour, and we liked the record and everything. I don't know what, but he was such an asshole that we started heckling him. And then,
well, when you say asshole, how was he an asshole?
I don't even remember. I just remember that we went in trying to like his band, and within 15 or 20 minutes, my goony redneck buddies are like, just yelling obscenities at him. And then right before, he had just said something like, why don't you come up here and blah, 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 not knowing that he's talking to these psychopaths from Borger, Texas, who do not give a fuck and are much bigger than him. And then he threw a glass pitcher into the non-crowd. Like there was 10 people scattered around a bar room, and he hit this girl in the head with a glass pitcher. And it was horrific. And then they called an ambulance, and then he had to give all the tour money to the club. And, it was just a fiasco. But he narrowly escaped with his life because my buddies were going to fuck him up. And then a few years later, he played Liberty Lunch. And I don't know what happened, but he ended up unconscious and in the hospital after talking endless shit. Like, he has this thing with Austin. Like, Austin is like Birmingham, Alabama or something. Like he's down there representing against these Confederate fuckwads, and it's like, you're an Austin asshole. Like this is not that town. Like fuck you, shut up, play your music, and just and so, and we will kick. We're used to getting our asses kicked by these redneck assholes you speak of. We will fuck you up. Like this is not the town. Austin's a pretty pussy town by Texas standards, but.
Well, it reminds me, who is the guy from Social, Mike Ness, when he went to New York for the first time, and he thought like he was in LA, and he throws a fucking bottle something was drunk and somebody pissed him off, and he throws a bottle into the club, into the audience outside. It's like maybe 2+2, this club down the Lower East Side off of Houston at the time, and it hits Vinny Stigma in the leg, and everybody cut his leg. Everybody flips out. Chased Mike Ness, got him in an abandoned lot, beat him so badly he shit his pants.
You've been beaten.
And so that he was unconscious, didn't play the show. But then after that, when he decided, like 10 years later, the Social Distortion finally, wanted to play New York again, he put in a personal call to Vinny Stigma, like, hey man, can we get past this? And Vinny was like, come on, man. It was 10 years ago. Forget it. You could play. We love you,
I love that story because I hate Social Distortion.
Really? Why?
Because it's a yuck. Because the people that like them, for one thing, and I don't know. I just never bought the hype. Them and Bad Religion both. Like, I just sailed on past me. I didn't understand it. I didn't like it, and it was gross. And then it became really popular, and the people who liked it were like greaseball rockabilly creeps with quiffs, coming back like Elvis and tattoos. I didn't like anything about it. But let's get back to topic. So we've sort of covered the uniform thing. At this point, how do you grade the whole uniform rollout? A, B, C, D, E, F.
No, there's you know what? There's something.
Letter grade. Come on, letter grade.
I'm gonna give it a C, man.
C. Yeah, C's passing though, Eugene. That's pretty.
Yeah, generous. No, it's not a fail. It's not a fail. I mean, it's a C. And I'm gonna have to say that I have to come up with a name for these type of decisions. But historically, there have been decisions. Let's just call them the WTF decisions. George H.W. Bush picking Dan Quayle. John McCain picking Sarah Palin.
Hey, she was a hottie. Her first speech was great.
Where you
Governor of Alaska.
You just wonder what they're thinking. I mean, so Reebok is on board. There's been this tremendous pushback. There's been issues and the grumbling. And I mean, this has not been a successful rollout by any stretch. So finally comes their moment on stage.
Did you see the presser yesterday?
No, I didn't watch it. No.
It's worth a watch because it was a fiasco.
Yeah,
it was the worst UFC PR event I've ever seen.
In recent times, the most recent thing that went as badly was both a courtesy of Mr. Jay-Z was the rollout of Tidal and then his partnership with Barney's. And these were both embarrassing, major, and sometimes people just lose their freaking mojo, man. There's a great line from the Oliver Stone movie U-Turn where Sean Penn comes into town and he's talking to Billy Bob Thornton, the hick mechanic, and he goes, "Look, that's why you are where you are and I am where I am." And then later, Sean Penn meets a series of a horrible
series of unfortunate events.
Billy Bob Thornton looks at him and goes, "Well, maybe that's why I'm where I am and you are where you are." I mean, that's where we are right now.
Wouldn't you like to be able to say that to Jay-Z at some point?
Yeah. When I get my first billion. But the reality of it is, there might be a reason why Reebok is where Reebok is and Nike is where Nike is.
It's true, yeah, and also where the UFC is. I mean, if you look at the scope of the UFC deal, it's comparable to like individual soccer teams deals, like not whole soccer leagues, but individual teams, like get bigger deals than this. So I don't know. Zane Simon had a good piece.
Zane.
Yeah, exactly. Zane Simon had a good piece. I had to cue you for the meme. You have
to cue me. You have no sense of timing.
What? I'm like a comic genius.
It's got to breathe, man.
Breathe. Come on. Don't tell me how to stomp your timing. I know timing.
I'm the master of stomp timing.
You don't need hecklers. I'm right here. Yeah. I got it covered.
You got all the heckling you need right at home.
Exactly. Zane had a good piece yesterday saying that, Reebok is where Reebok is, which is not at the top of the apparel business. The UFC is where the UFC is, which is not at the top of the sports business. And here they are muddling through together.
No, you know what? But that's not the way it works. I mean, ideally, I was giving a speech to a guy on Monday, and I said, any idiot can walk in here with a check. That's not what we're about. You get me a check for $1 million from Tampax, I just don't care. $1 million is nice, but at this point we're developing a brand, and we're much more interested in a compelling combination of ideas. Reebok coming into the UFC is a compelling combination of ideas. Them misspelling jerseys, taking away people's sponsorship money, and blotting out the sun with mere recompense is shit.
I see. So it's a negative.
It's a negative. I know everybody wants to, wanted to get recognized, and they wanted to say, I got it. And this could be a stepping stone to something else. I got that. Nah, man.
So take it to the big time.
Not really. You know what? It's like all these chicks appearing in Playboy magazine because it's going to lead to something else. It does.
Like, remember when Nancy Sinatra dipped in there when she was like 55?
That was great.
But did it lead anywhere?
She was already everywhere she was going to go.
It's true, and then she was naked.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, I spent many an errant afternoon.
I see.
With Nancy with a smiling face.
With Nancy, huh? I like Nancy in the 60s, but I don't know about Nancy in the 90s.
You're crazy.
I didn't go there.
I've always had a thing for older women.
I like older women.
Until I got
Doris Day, to this day, would not be safe in my company. But
I'm going for Betty White, man.
Betty White, too sassy.
She's sassy. I like it.
I don't know, man. I need my ego built up.
What was it? It's like the opposite of what Tony Curtis would say. He goes, "Can you imagine me going into Spaggles with a woman my own age? Disgusting."
A great line by the great Tony.
And then I see a picture of Jimmy Page with his 21-year-old girlfriend. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. Do you know what this looks like? This looks fucking terrible. And
well,
she doesn't look happy to be with you either.
How has Jimmy Page skated on the whole Jimmy Savile English child molesting thing? Yeah. Remember when they were talking, we're going to bust some people. This scandal has blown up. There's so much proof and so many witnesses. Heads are going to roll. And I'm like, wow, who are they going to get, And then they bust Gary Glitter again. They bust
Gary Glitter.
and the one member of parliament they're busting is so fucking senile they had to debate for a year whether he was fit to stand trial.
He's senile like Gigante was the mafia boss who in his bathrobe who was as sane as you and me. This guy was on planes back and forth to France until 2 weeks ago. Now suddenly I don't know.
But nonetheless, he's not a mover and a shaker in Parliament today.
Anymore.
Like, there's still a few guys that are possibly linked with this stuff that they're not bringing to trial.
Yep.
And so, and you know, I mean, I'm not saying Jimmy Page is comparable to Gary Glitter, but there's a lot of stories about Jimmy Page with underage girls that
there's the one where he kidnapped the girl.
Yeah.
13 or 14.
Yep. And this stuff is published, and he hasn't sued anybody over it. And I mean,
there's a simple reason. The simple reason is
money and power.
Why Michael Jordan is where he is, and Tiger Woods is where he is.
Let's see, and they're both wealthy. I see. But Tiger
a willingness to part with it.
Yes, it's true. And Jimmy Page has parted again and again. I mean, all these people he's plagiarized have come back and gotten some, at least.
Yep.
Jake Holmes,
which is the way it should be.
Well, yeah, at the very least. I mean, I think Jake Holmes should get a fucking retroactive song. All these people should get songwriting credits. I mean, the guy from Moby Grape is living under a bridge, and Robert Plant throws him a few $100. I don't even know how much he gave him because the settlement's sealed. Dude's still living under a bridge as far as I know. I mean, Anyway, but back to the topic at hand. Drug testing policy, Eugene. Is it going to work? Is it already damaging the sport? Do fans just want to see roided up heroes?
No, I mean, to a certain degree, it's a complicated thing, right?
Is it like when the California legislature required porno people to wear goggles for facial scenes? Like, I don't think that ever happened, but they were threatening to do it at one point. Like, are they taking the fun out of our violence porn?
Well, I mean, it's complicated because is there a qualitative difference in seeing a fight where guys are on and guys are off? There's a certain point at which, like I said on Knuckle Up this week, the cheap seat thrill of a knockout fades pretty fast, because at this point in time, I would rather see a good submission than a knockout. I don't give a shit for knockouts,
You're practically a professional grappler. You're a world champion grappler, Eugene.
It doesn't. I mean, what I'm saying is, a knockout, they're fireworks. When we see fireworks in America,
say ooh and ah.
Yeah, on the 4th of July and New Year's Eve. If there were fireworks every day, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's fantastic. Jesus Christ, what am I, a kid? What am I, 7? So
I'm right already with the fireworks. Have you seen the signs that veterans are putting in front of their houses this year that says, "Veteran with PTSD, please be courteous and limit your fireworks to July 4th." Like, they're cool if they know it's coming, but they don't want to be surprised with bullshit random, June 30th firework displays.
Well, this is why you can't live in a poor neighborhood, because they start in May and they end in August.
Yes, I've been in Baltimore on July 4th, and I was just glad I didn't own any of the property there. But
the Hell's Angels Street on the Lower East Side, which I think
heard of it.
Yeah, maybe Third
Street. It's Third.
Yeah. And I was walking through there one day on the 4th of July, and the street was kind of fucking totally dead, but I could smell cordite all over. And I was with some woman, and I was like, "What the hell?" Because I brought it.
And for our less scientifically inclined viewers, what's cordite?
Gunpowder. Yeah. So, I mean,
not everyone's seen the Star Trek episode where Captain Kirk builds his own gunpowder. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh man, you just ran this right into the geek ditch.
You talk about Hell's Angels, I had to go Star Trek on you. Nanny.
Okay. So I take this girl I'm dating. There's a street to show her the street, and because usually there are like 35 motorcycles out, choppers out front, and nobody's there. I'm like, fuck, what happened? Turns out that minutes before we got there, they put like half a garbage can full of fireworks in the street, set it off, and some kid had wandered out a little too close and got blown to bits, was killed, So that's why they had all like, you guys see anything? Nope. Didn't see nothing.
I see. Those angels.
Well, I mean, it was tragic. Nobody was happy that the kid wandered, but got to be careful.
Yeah, it's like when was it the Angels or the Pagans kid that wandered backstage at a Fish concert? That You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't know.
You don't know this?
No.
The bass player from Fish was like savagely beaten, allegedly by I believe he was caught photographing an 8-year-old daughter of some serious bikers. I don't believe it was Angels. I think it was either Outlaws. Is it Outlaws or Pagans that are in the North?
What do you mean photographing?
Enough so that Daddy stomped him.
Yep.
You know, bad.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
You know, it might have been Roman Polanski.
Well, you know, the thing is, if you're not a free-range father, typically you're a little bit touchy. Like some.
Well, you can be a free-range father and be like, it's cool to like walk to the store. It's not so cool to be, you know, backstage with an acid rock musician who's in his 50s with a camera. Like, there's free range and there's free range. I mean.
Yeah. All right. Well, look,
You know.
I know that at one point one of my kids' coaches said, "Oh, she's so great. You know, if you ever need anybody to babysit, I'll be glad to babysit her."
No.
And I was like, instantaneously hot, was like crazed. I go, wait, what are you saying? You're gonna babysit for me? You're gonna babysit my youngest? You know, I got
How old
3
was
kids,
she at
right?
the time?
She's like 7. And then he caught himself and he was like, "Well, I just mean that doesn't mean nothing, man. Nothing. You know,
Yeah.
I got 3 kids. A normal take on that would be, you know, oh, you know, your kids are so great, I'll babysit them all. You know, but which is strange anyway. No non-custodial male in my mind is hanging out with my kids. No fucking way.
Well, I feel like scoutmasters, priests, coaches, like, do your job, do your thing with my kid in the group setting.
Yep.
No solo time.
There's a family member who came out to visit, and next thing I know, you know, he's got my youngest on his lap. I go, "Hey, look, get off his lap." I'm an adult man with 3 kids who's been around kids now for at least 20 years. I have never found myself an occasion to have anybody else's kid sit on my lap, ever.
Never. I've had babies crawl on my lap and stuff. You never, you know.
Yeah, that might happen. I've had babies walk up to me and hold on to my leg and look up and talk to me. That's one thing. But on my lap, you got to pick a kid up and put the kid on your lap.
I don't know. I've had like a 3-year-old.
You know what? I don't want to know.
I was uncomfortable.
I don't want to.
I didn't make, you know, like it was.
Then you pick the kid up or you put the kid next to you. You don't have the kid sit on your lap.
Next time I'll know how to handle it. At the time I was just like,
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you don't want to look like you're all weirded out by it because that's weird too.
Nope, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
If there's a chance you might get murdered by a father, I don't think it's too much to put the kid on the couch.
The thing was, everybody was totally comfortable.
Because they're fucking morons. In 90% of the case, in 90% of the cases, you know, a careful parental eye would avoid troubling situations. You know.
Well, that's very true. But
what about the time the priest shows up drunk at the house, trying to pick up the 8-year-old boy who's hiding in a closet for a sleepover, and the parents are like, "Come on, get your stuff. The priest is here."
That's fucked up. I mean, that's idiocy.
Yeah.
You know, that's just stupid. But you know.
So in any case, back to the drug testing. I mean, I've got really mixed feelings. I think if you really care about the sport, you know, I like to see the delta between guys' abilities and their effort. That's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in the guys who dig down deep. And whether you're on steroids, and I've come out in the past in defense of steroids, like I don't think it's that big of a deal, but the reality of it is, whether you're on steroids or not, the delta between where you are and where you have to dig down to is not altered by the steroids, which is why you see a guy like Mark Coleman who can't dig down deep. You know, I mean, he doesn't have the cardio because he's got this whole vascular network developed by rapid muscle gain that has to be fed, and he can't. So, you know, I want to see a guy who exceeds himself, you know, and the chemicals don't really.
You don't think Mark Kerr was digging down deep in the smashing machine when he was just shooting up in front of the camera and everything?
Yeah, Mark Kerr is another story entirely. You know, that's another story entirely. But so in other words, I think people will still beat it. I think there are still holes. I think, as one of the posters cleverly suggested, that he thinks it's a cudgel. You know, it's a cudgel in the hands of the UFC to discipline those they desire to discipline, and to advance the fortunes of those who they favor, which is, in other words, it's just like any other law. It will be applied inequitably. There's a possibility of that being the case. But overall, if I have to, like in catch-22 terms, is it a feather in the cap or a black eye? I have to say it comes closer to being a feather in the cap and less of a black eye.
So far, it's good PR. So far, it's good PR. And
yeah, there you go. There's a non-cynical view, or quasi-cynical view.
What do you want from me? I mean,
it's good. I mean, that's the right take.
It's been good PR so far. I don't think it's irreparably damaged the fights or anything. I mean, what about do you miss the days of like Don Fry and Ken Shamrock in there, like just breaking each other's ankles and still fighting? Like, cause
no, because I see those guys at fights now, and I see them poking around, and it's, it's not.
They're your age basically, and you're in much better shape than they are.
Yeah, and much handsomer, and so
that goes. Don Fry might disagree.
Yeah, Don Fry, who needs to get shot. Don Fry is the guy who I almost shot.
You almost shot Don Fry?
Yeah, we're at some show, and he's like, "Hey, Don, how you doing? I got the show. I think I may have put him on, did an interview on the spot. I put him on Knuckle Up for a little bit." And he's like, "Is that your daughter?"
Oh, God.
I go, "Yes, that is my daughter." He goes, "You're going to need a gun to keep people away from her." I said, "I got a gun, Don." He goes, "No, she's beautiful. I said, "I got a gun on me, Don." He's like, "Well, you're going to go." I go, we got to stop talking now, Don.
Did he ever click?
No, he didn't, I was going to show him the gun because it was right there in my gym bag. But I was like, you know what? I don't need to be brandishing a firearm at the San Jose fucking pavilion,
Good call. Good call. Yeah. I mean, so, Don Fry.
This is, she was 16. It's like, give me a phone. What are you, Chuck Berry?
Chuck Berry is somebody you would definitely not want anywhere near, not just your daughter, but even your like most hard-bitten aunt. Like, like I don't think there's a league of.
Well, I told you my Chuck Berry blowjob story. Right?
I've got it on Shalala, but it's genius.
Perfect.
I remember it. It's classic, and I think although the fact that it was happening in the men's room has always baffled me. That's
Chuck was taking all comers, man.
I guess it's a good place to be.
I
told you my John Lennon blowjob story, right?
You told me that too.
I got a Donna Shalala with that one. So
you got a mouth. We got business together.
Exactly. You got a real pretty mouth. I mean, I don't know. At the top of the peak, I would say. So we've covered. We haven't covered the John Jones rise and fall. We had the biggest fight of his career against Daniel Cormier. A great performance in January. He's rolling into a fight with Anthony Rumble Johnson that coulda, woulda, shoulda been even bigger.
Yeah, but you know what? And it was too late for me to talk about it on Knuckle Up. But did you see what happened this week?
A lot of things have happened this week.
Well, there was it was on Bloody Elbow. There's a picture of John Jones, and the headline said that the DA has yet to file charges.
Yes, even though the 60-day term, I was asking my wife, the prosecutor, about this. The 60-day term, they're supposed to file with the grand jury within 60 days of the arrest, but that doesn't seem to be a concern. And she was like, "Yeah, if he's out of jail, then they don't have a habeas corpus complaint." So,
but you know what this is.
What is this? What is this?
This is the way the court and the judicial system says, hey, buddy, come here. And you come over and they go, fuck you. That's what unless you're looking at, I know a friend who was a major narcotics trafficker who made all the newspapers when he got busted. So he hires Barry Bonds' attorney to fight because it was performance enhancing drugs that took him under. And Barry Bonds' attorney bails him out. And that guy, now this was about a year and a half ago, hasn't seen the inside of a jail cell and is going from motion to motion to delay. In his case, this is a positive.
Yeah, because he's looking at going away for a long time.
Correct.
Versus John Jones, who's probably not looking at going away for any length of time. I mean, I'd be surprised.
But he
wants to get on with his career.
Not gonna happen, buddy. Not gonna happen. because you know what? You know what? It's a haters parade out there. You know? Are you in a hurry? Yeah, you're in a hurry to go back to the Rolls Royces and the Starlets and the, well, you know what? Wheels of justice turn exceedingly slow in these parts with poor folk.
Yeah.
And based on the quality of the attorney, it seems like he has, you know.
Not confidence inspiring. And John Jones is not a guy whose hiring decisions have ever been confidence inspiring.
Well, but it's also he's part of a corporation that has a vested interest, and that corporation has also said it's okay, you know, because the damage to the brand is significant, you know. And I'm talking about his brand. I'm talking about MMA in total. Black eye, not a feather in the cap. You know, let that guy, because there's no second act beyond this one. So there's no.
You don't think there's a comeback for John?
No, there's no benefit in rushing this shit this time around. He comes back and blows it again, you know, but with it, then he's done. Like done.
Mike Tyson wasn't done. He did prison time for raping a beauty queen.
Yeah.
He bit off a guy's ear. He still wasn't done.
No, really. When he came out after the Washington thing,
he was dinged, but he was still doing huge business on pay-per-view.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
I mean, he was still doing huge business on pay-per-view after biting Holyfield's ear off, and after not even being any good anymore. I mean, we've seen combat sports fans are not discerning.
If you're using Mike Tyson as anything other than a cautionary tale, you're making a mistake.
Well, I'm just saying.
John Jones is sitting around going, "Man, I want to end up just like Mike Tyson." He's making a mistake.
Hey,
Mike Tyson's not sitting around going, "Man, I'm glad that this all played out for me."
Well, had he held onto his money, he'd be just fine.
Things are all connected.
Yeah.
We could look to Muhammad Ali for another object lesson, and you know, I mean, yeah, he won some championships after getting out for the draft dodging thing, but you know what? This shit takes it out of you, man. Takes it out of you. You know, if you're gonna tell me that a year in jail, 8 months in jail, 2 years in jail doesn't make a difference, then I'm gonna ask you why they send people to jail to begin with.
Well, that's a whole different question. I mean, you know.
Yep.
Is there such a thing as a deterrent? Is there any value in that? But I mean, I'm just saying, I don't think John Jones's career is done. But maybe I'm just
if he comes back too soon and blows it again, you know,
then he's significantly.
Yeah, he's not. There's no, you know, you might think he's coming back, but there's no way he's coming back because the way he'd want to come back and the way the UFC would have him back are miles apart at that point. You know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's like Sly Stone by the early 80s. There just weren't any more comebacks being booked.
That's a great fucking parallel. That's exactly right. Still super talented, still doing lots of business, but we can't trust you.
Yeah. Nobody can trust Sly Stone to show up, and we're not booking that show. Sorry, Sly.
Nope. I mean, this is, you know, I'm a Morrissey fan, right? I'm not buying those tickets. Why? The guy has got, like, what is it? He said he's got 18. He's canceled 18% of his fucking shows. If I'm going to make the time in my schedule, no.
I knew people who were bragging to their dying day about how many times they bought tickets to see Hank Williams Sr. not play. I mean, you know, there's legends and then there's legends. Like, I think if you go out at 29, then people are all hubbub about it. I mean, the Amy Winehouse documentary, you going to be seeing that one?
No, because that story just depresses me.
Does it? I was actually kind of intrigued because the documentary, the previews actually made it look a little more. I paid her no attention when she was living, so.
Well, she and Ronson beat Oxbow and Joe Ciccarelli for Best Producer of the Year. So for this, I paid attention. But you know, I mean, there's that whole the Who Killed Bambi story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Sex Pistols movie.
Yeah, where it's funded by High Times magazine, and the real secret behind them funding it was that they were hoping against hope that Sid Vicious actually died during the tour.
Ghoulish.
Yeah.
Ghoulish. I used to, High Times, one of my older brothers would have High Times around every once in a while. And that was where I was first exposed to the Sex Pistols, but it was never flattering. I mean, it always made it look ghastly and not intriguing, Yeah. Like, it wasn't until the Sid Nancy movie came out. Actually, I got into punk through the Ramones and Rock and Roll High School, and then somebody tells you about the Sex Pistols, and then the music was great. But the Rock and Roll Swindle didn't make them look good. at all.
Yeah.
And then that didn't. But Sid and Nancy, ironically, sort of did, kind of.
Well, yeah, give credit to Gary Oldman.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, that's when the meatheads are in my hometown were like, "Oh, Sex Pistols, they kind of rock," you know, like.
Yeah, right.
That's so, you know. Anyway, but back on track. So drug policy, not so bad. How about and John Jones? How about CM Punk? They signed him, much to do. Now he's not going to fight this year, although Dana White says he's looking great. So,
because they have figured out that the PR value of saying he's going to fight is worth more than him actually fighting.
Much. And don't you think they should have just let Bellator have him?
That still might happen.
I mean, you think he'll still end up in Bellator? I guess we've shown there's no age at which you're too old for Bellator.
And now Shamrock says, "I don't know what you're talking." I mean, it's a real mixed message. On the one hand, he's completely right calling Joe Rogan out. You know, it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing saying that this was a fixed fight? You know, this is wild fucking speculation, man. Yeah, okay. So I think he was completely correct in calling Rogan out.
I think you should sue him, honestly.
Yeah.
But I think Ken's learned his lesson about suing people.
Yeah. It takes money to do that. So, but then I think that, you know, he was completely wrong about. And I'm not retiring. I'm looking to fight some more. It's like, you got to be fucking kidding me, man. Why,
yeah. Did you hear his reasoning behind his explanation for how he failed to choke Kimbo out?
No.
He'd trained a lot on positioning and takedowns, but he hadn't actually tapped anybody in practice. He said once he got somebody in the position to start the rear naked drill was over. So and then when he got him,
just stop talking. Stop.
But he went on. Ken didn't stop. He said that, you know, then he pulled the rookie mistake of trying to force it and trying to choke him when he didn't have him in position, which to me is consistent with what I said before the fight, that Ken Shamrock will find a way to fuck this up. This guy he's just like Chael Sonnen. He's second place Shamrock. I mean, there's Royce Gracie and there's Ken Shamrock. And there's always going to be somebody in first place and somebody in second place.
Yeah, but I find discussions about him fighting disturbing.
Yeah, it's sad. But let's move on to CM Punk, a guy who arguably has no different business.
I find discussions about CM Punk fighting disturbing.
But the hype of him possibly fighting, it's clear.
You know, if you really just want to see somebody get beaten up, you know, there are a bunch of old ladies around here who I'm sure would be glad to, you know, or we could just do bum fights on the big screen and just, you know, I
hear he's very athletic. He's training hard.
You know what? Let me show you my mind is in the right place on this. Herschel Walker recently has been making repeated noises about his continued significance as an athlete. He goes, I could still play football. I'd like to do a couple more MMA fights. I will gladly challenge. I could fight Kimbo. He's making noises because he knows he's got fucking dude's ear, Scott Coker's ear. Because
Herschel clearly, like, they could book Herschel Walker versus Kimbo Slice, and that would be serious business.
Yeah, that would be big business.
Yeah,
and I think they realize that.
And not an unfair fight. I wouldn't have any qualms about seeing that too.
I would feel better about that than Ken Shamrock and Kimbo Slice.
Yeah, although Ken acquitted himself reasonably well.
I don't even like the catchweight aspect of it, man.
Yeah.
That was one thing that I liked about the new UFC rules when they started to institute. Look, when they come, usually when I'm doing these jiu-jitsu competitions, they have the open segment. And, you know, if you're a little guy, I could understand there's a great benefit to you in beating a guy my weight. Fine, you know, but there's not a real benefit for me to beat somebody a little guy's weight. And if I look up on higher, if I'm looking up the ladder from me, I don't really want to fight a guy in the unlimited 265-pound class. So I'm not fighting the open. And it has nothing to do with skill level, man. I think it's an unacceptable risk, you know. Like I try to remind people, I'm 52 fucking years old, man, soon to be 53. You know, this is a hobby. You know?
Despite your world champion accolades.
Yeah, also a hobby. Ken Shamrock might argue against it being a hobby, but that's because he's broke.
Well, it's for him. It's a payday. It's not avocation,
correct.
it's vocation. So
Correct.
but now you got me all excited about Herschel Walker versus Kimbo Slice. Now that's
you see.
Yeah.
I mean, that's who's the guy who's doing the fight picking for Scott Coker now? Who's Scott Coker? Is Sean Shelby or?
He's had him. It's the same guy.
It's an Asian cat, right?
Yeah, he's had him back in the Strike Force days.
I know because I contacted him and pitched a fight to him, and he was like, "I don't get you," and I was like, "Okay, all right."
Yeah.
You don't get me. I'm suggesting one guy fight this other guy. This is the one guy's name, and this is the other guy's name.
I'm not reading
not to get.
I'm not reading you. It makes no what? Huh?
Then I understood. It's like being 12 years old. I can't hear you. All right.
Indeed. Yeah. No, the guy, let's see. Rich Chow. That's who it is.
That's right. Yep.
He came out of Hawaii, I believe. Yes. Well, it's good for Google.
A friend of mine, unless I in a fit defriended him.
Well, yeah. Have you ever noticed, you ever been looking around Facebook and you sometimes see people's friends lists and you see people that you thought were your Facebook friend and then you notice it says add friend and you're like,
Yeah, well, I got so many on my page and then I see the number change and there's no way for me to figure out who has defriended me. But I'm perfectly okay with that.
Oh yeah, only if it's a real friend or somebody you have another.
No, typically it'll be an ex, and then she'll have to double back and tell me why she defriended me because I didn't notice. So, I guess you noticed I defriended you. No.
No.
Well, let me tell you why I defriended you. No, it's okay. No, I just think I should say.
Well, I mean, there's really no percentage in being Facebook friends with your ex as a rule.
Yeah, right.
You should have a dummy account from which to stalk your exes. That's
seems like I don't want to do that. Except what I love about Facebook is that it's really destroyed nostalgia because gone are the days where you'd be sitting alone at home and go, I wonder what so and so is doing now, and that might cause you to write an unfortunate letter. And next thing you know, you're back in bed. Now all you can do, you got a sneak peek into their lives, and you're like, oh, I see. She's making her new husband go hiking, and they can collect mushrooms, the single most boring thing any humans could do. Thank God I got out.
Don't you like morel mushrooms?
And I'm not eating shit off the ground that I find in the woods. People are dying all the time from that shit, and it's like, true. Oops.
I briefly got interested in mushroom collection because I love mushrooms and food, and the first one they tell you to get is puffballs, which coincidentally look just like death cups or something. And so, right at the beginning of the hobby, they want you in there making these life or death decisions.
It's hilarious. I asked this woman I know who was really into it. Why do you? She goes, well, you know how expensive they are? Expensive. Saving yourself a few dollars, huh?
But you just can't get morel mushrooms in the stores. They're too delicate, too fragile.
Yeah, okay, you know what?
Delicate thing.
I got there's other stuff I could eat from the woods.
I see. All right, so let's see what else we need to cover. Let's see. How about the downfall of Anderson Silva through all the drug testing fiascos? He still
no! You also Bloody Elbow. You printed the news this week about how the test came back clear.
What?
Yes, there's something there about adding fuel to the flame. This second test was actually all right. So now there's some kind of reasonable confusion. But you know what? It's not reasonable confusion because what it is, it's a Colonel Kurtz moment. A Colonel Kurtz moment of just let the guy go out on a shield, not like a wasted, some wasted renegade. So.
I'm looking for this. I'm not seeing this recent Anderson Silva. Let's see. What do we call it? Second sample? B sample?
Yeah, try that. Second sample.
I'll have to look back. I don't know.
I'd like to find it, but
it's a common. I was on vacation last week, so I'm just.
Oh.
It's not a matter of me being that inattentive.
Yeah, vacation.
Exactly. Vacation.
And you're about to go off on another vacation.
No, I'm done with vacationing.
No, that's not what you said.
That's what I did say that. I went on one vacation and then I took a weekend off last week and that's it. Vacations are over.
I'm still recuperating from all night awake Saturday to Sunday.
Well, you know, I'm still catching up with all the fights I missed. So
yeah, me too.
I'd say we're even.
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's see what else we need to cover. Uniform science, international expansion. How are you rating that for the UFC?
I have no idea.
You have no idea. You're not with all the Oxbow touring and everything. They've got Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
I did.
Poland?
I had to go through this big thing. Like I talk about a knuckle up to get the fucking bar I was sitting in Calgary. The restaurant bar to put the fight on, and somebody was like talking to me about it, and you know they said, it seems kind of fake. I go, you got a lot of good Canadian fighters, you know, and they're pimping a fight in Saskatchewan. You know, that's not far from here. Plenty of people from Saskatchewan made the drive to the Oxford show. You know, so you know it is. I mean, you know, in Germany, as far as I was concerned, I remember when it was, in my recent memory, when it was still illegal in Germany, you know, and I know, like France, it's not illegal, but they have the strange ruling where you have to.
France is in the pocket of the Judo Commission, is the deal.
Yeah. So when you hit the ground, you can't strike. You strike standing up. When you hit the ground, you have to grapple only. So.
Yeah, that's the old pancrase rules. But you're not hearing anything with all your Polish connections about the impact of Joanna Jędrzejczyk?
It's huge, man. It was already huge in Poland. When I went to train with the Berserker fight team in Szczecin, it was already, you had super significant fighters fighting and winning in the European championships. Polish fighters are tough.
Yeah, so we've got Poland, things are going good. Ireland, things are going great with Conor McGregor there. But England, sputtering. They haven't broken into Russia at all, despite all the Russian fighters they brought in.
Russia is politics. Yeah. England is tradition, you know.
I don't know. I mean, there for a while, they sunk a lot of money into England. And
they sunk a lot of money into fucking the Bisping, you know, and the reality of it is Bisping, you know, you overstate dude's appeal, man.
Bisping's the kind of guy who can get himself booed against Matt Hamill. When Matt Hamill came into Born in the USA in London. And I mean, you know, so, well, that's all right. So international expansion, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I mean, in other words, you were not going to build a British franchise in the back of a Bisping.
No. And it seems to be pretty much that's what drives their expansion. Canada was huge while they had GSP. Now that they don't have GSP.
Hardy was great. I loved him, man, but he was just a little too smart and not really a man of the people.
But now, how about, here's one topic we haven't covered: the Rampage Jackson fiasco. He leaves the UFC, goes to Bellator, leaves Bellator, goes back to the UFC. There's injunctions, but he still gets to fight. But now the lawsuit continues. So what do you make of all that?
You know what? You know, in my conspiracy, I've maintained the claim that these guys are continued cahoots, right?
Which guys?
Scott Coker. The bald one.
And Dana. I see. Playing it that way.
Oh, you could call it what they call here in the Valley cooperation.
Cooperation. Yes, Steve Jobs taught everybody how to do all those things. And so, well, how is this cooperation for them? Like, Bellator didn't want to deal with Rampage's bullshit, so they let him go back to the UFC. And
no, I think the objective is to create heat, you know, because then we gather around the heat, you know. I mean, who's getting interested about anything Rampage is doing now, you know?
A few lawyers, and when there's all these injunctions, it makes them seem in demand. Well, maybe you're right. However, based on the Kimbo Ken Shamrock thing, wouldn't Rampage versus Kimbo? That would be Rambo, right?
Maybe, man. But then if you have something like this, you got guy comes out depleted. You can't deplete somebody who's already depleted, right? Shamrock is a constant quality of suckness at this point.
It's true. And Tito has some juice, but Stephan Bonner, they got all the juice they're going to get out of him.
And Tito's going to get murdered against Liam.
Yeah, quite possibly. But then maybe, just maybe, Liam will get over and people will learn his name.
That's the hope.
That's the hope. I mean, that's how Floyd Mayweather got big, beating De La Hoya, et cetera, et cetera. Yep. Pacquiao too. So,
well, and there's also a fucking risk. You know, there's a serious risk actually. You know, because if Liam can't get by fucking Tito, you know,
yeah, then you got Ryan Bader on your hands.
You got me exactly right. Tell me where the road turns.
Yeah. So, well, we're out of time, and I think we've covered everything on my list. So, thoughts for the year? Sum up the first half of 2015. Was it a very good year, Frank?
Yeah, when I was 21, it was a very good year for girls up the stair with perfume in their hair. No, you know what? I'm going to give this like the stock market term. I'm going to give this a hold.
A hold, I see. So some good stuff, some not so good.
The year could still pull it out, but right now I'm not feeling nearly confident enough to advocate a buy. I'm not.
I see.
The
Jose Aldo injury before the McGregor fight was like...
I'm not buying any of that. My next show is going to be all conspiracy all the time. Not buying
Monday morning, look for it. Knuckle Up will be right here on this YouTube channel. So
that's right. I'm not buying any of this.
Never stop.
What was that great Michael Corleone line from The Godfather? When he gives to Carlo, he goes, this little bit of theater you played with my sister. You know, when he's trying to get Carlo to admit that he was somehow complicit in Sonny's death. He goes, don't insult my intelligence. It just makes me angry, you know. Who approached you? Barzini. Okay, thanks. You're gonna be in charge of my Vegas operations. I'm not gonna make my sister a widow. Get out of my sight.
And then he goes and makes his sister a widow.
Yeah.
So, that's what Michael Corleone had that you don't, Eugene, is that the teeth.
Oh, you're wrong about that, buddy. I just don't have the cash.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am Tom Hagen on the sidewalk where Tessio is saying, hey, Tom, for old time's sake, could you? Sorry, Sally. Can't do.
Well, and that's it for a show. So remember, give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Subscribe to MMANation.com on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter.
Eugene Robinson thumbs up, baby.
That's right. And this week, only one of them. I'm hurt. Last week.
Did you see that? Because I'm leaning on my arm and my shoulder's killing. You see that prick came onto my Knuckle Up YouTube thing trying to troll me with this. I think that you are discriminatory. I said, take that trolling shit on out of here, buddy. Up your ass.
Well put.
How do you like my corporate policy?
A beautiful thought, well expressed. That's what I gotta say. All right, follow us on Twitter at Eugene S. Robinson, at KidNate. Read us on BloodyElbow.com. You can read Eugene at Aussie.com. Sometimes Vice's Fightland.
Actually, I got a piece up today on the most violent prisoner in America, Thomas Silverstein, Aryan Brotherhood member.
Guy's been in solitary confinement for decades, since the Atlanta prison riot. So, I think he's probably not that scary at this point in time. What do you think?
I think he's as crazy as a day is long, and that makes him scary, but I think it's cruel and inhumane.
It's utterly cruel and inhumane. I mean, it's been 30 years solitary.
We're one of the few countries that does life imprisonment really life. I mean, Breivik in Norway will be out in 25 fucking years.
And that guy needs to stay away because he's insanely dangerous.
Yeah, he's dangerous.
Yeah, But anyway, that's neither here nor there. And the author of the fight book, Fight Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Ass Kicking, but we're afraid to get your ass kicked for asking.
Yo, you did it. Yeah, you stumbled, but you pulled it out. That's all right.
I did. I made it through. All right. So no fights this weekend. Enjoy your July 4th holiday, everybody. Eugene will be back with Knuckle Up on Monday. We'll have the Care Don't Care preview for UFC 189. We'll hear all about his conspiracy theories and his thoughts on Conor McGregor against Chad Mendez. I like Conor's chances better than some people think against the wrestler, but we'll see.
Wrong about that, buddy, but all right.
It's the true test, yeah. and all the vivisections and all the hoorah and falderall and the perspectives. So, adios, MMA aficionados. Is that my line?
Yeah, that's it, man. Come on, we got to go.
All right, see you, Eugene.
All right, later, man. Bye-bye.